Alright, ladies, gentlemen, and kitties, today I will be riding one of BMW's legendary motorcycle. It's the R1200 GS. Basically, this is a GS Rallye trim. It is like a mid-level trim, new for 2017 model. This is slots below the GS Adventure, the one that is all out. You'll see it on somewhere in the screens. And above, then the regular GS. They call it the GSE, GS Exclusive or whatever you call it. Basically, this is basically a regular GS with a heightened suspension and some of the bits from the GS Adventure, the hardcore Super Saiyan model of it, while the GS has a lower suspension compared to this. Okay, ergonomics check. 6'3", 220 to 220 pounds, 32-inch inseam. As you can see, I'm slightly using my toes a bit. My heel is a little elevated by a few millimeters or for a few centimeters, and it doesn't intimidate me. At first it's really intimidating because this thing, even the regular GSE, is huge. It intimidates you at first. And right now I'm at the BMW Motorcycles Owners Association Rally at Salt Lake City, and I would like to thank them and BMW Motorcycles of North America for hosting this event at Salt Lake and the Utah State Fair in Salt Lake City, Utah. And one thing for sure, as you roll slowly on this bike handles like a small bike. I'm not joking. Even how huge this bike really is, this bike is very nimble, very low center of gravity. I've ridden the GS Adventure back in LA. I didn't have a GoPro back then. I'm convinced that this bike, no wonder people loves this bike. This is the Harley Davidson Adventure bikes. Quickly to point out that this bike, I picked this bike for today simply because this has no modification on it, unlike the other two GSs that I was planning to ride with. The GS Adventure has a lower suspension and lower seat option. Same goes with the GSE. And I was kind of bummed about it. So this is the only GS they have on the fleet that has fully stock. No modifications, no height adjusters or whatsoever. So that's why I picked this rig. Okay, wanted to point out also, this bike comes with an optional a quick shifter, like from the other BMW Highline models, like the S1000 series and some of the 1200 series, the R1200s. This one has it. But the difference is between the inline 4 S1000 series, that this one engages a little herky-jerky at low revs. You have to squeeze the throttle to have a very quick, actually not quick, but smoother upshifts for you to utilize its quick shifting abilities. And there's a train blocking, and we have an alternate route for that now. Man, the center of gravity of this is really good. See, as you can see, every time I shift to second, if my revs isn't that high enough, it jerks like, whoop it, what the? Yeah, it really slaps you forward. And this Boxer engine is just legendary. I'm a fan of Boxer engines from Subaru to Porsches. I think this is the only motorcycle brand that carries, that features a Boxer engine. Correct me if I'm wrong though. As usual, in tradition to the GS line, it has those microscopic analog gauges on the speedo. This instrument panel is very easy to read. Fuel, odometer, whatever you want to put into. See, it has a road mode, dynamic mode, the ESA. There's 2 modes, unlike the S1000 series that has 4. The tach, which is cool, has analog tach, which is I prefer. See, it's not as bad once you're on higher revs when you do the quick shift. See, downshifting wise, oh, it's a lot smoother. It's like a 1000 series. Braking feel, the rear brakes is a little bit long travel and a little bit mushy. It's not as direct as what I expected to be. And it has a very long travel and squishy feeling. I bet it's not a big issue, but it's something to point it out. The sound of this Boxer engine is signature Boxer. Signature teeny-weeny rumble. Goes like that. It's satisfying to hear that because it's so unique. Unlike the traditional norm of a parallel twin or a V or an L twin. For some reason this bike it's a little bit tricky to put it to neutral. It's a little bit tricky. See, also this bike, some of the GS and the R1200 GS and the R1200 GT has a hill holder clutch. So it's very useful for hilly situations. See, I don't have my brakes on and I can't push it backwards. Very helpful. Subaru has been doing this Subaru car has been doing this forever, and this is very helpful for going uphill in the hills, San Francisco. Whoops. I'm not used to modulate that yet. I have to be a little smoother than that. Yeah, once you're on gear, it's very smooth. The height doesn't intimidate you. Of course, I'm a tall fellow, so let me do that hill holder clutch later. This Rallye version has some bits and pieces from the GSA Adventure. It may not have the humongous fuel tank like the Adventure does. It has the suspension. It's a little bit more. Basically, it's a lighter version of the GS compared to the full-blown Super Saiyan GS, the GSA Adventure, compared to the regular GSE. The GSE is a good entry point to most if you want to go full-blown 1200. Sure, there are lesser GS models for BMW. I like to highlight the big kahuna GS, the 1200s. Because they're an icon. Come on, man. It's a bucket list that you want to ride every day. It's not like, you know, the GS 800, the GS 700 GS, those F series. Sure, they're fine bikes. They're well-known thumpers, but bro, you gotta try out the full Boxer experience. And also, I'm a Boxer engine fan too. See, look at that, Subaru. As you can see, this motor is stupid torquey. Most R1200s Boxer engines comes with 125 horsepower, stupid amounts of torque. The navigation works on this thing, okay. Low speed maneuvering on this bike is really good. Clutch bite is very direct, tactile, no problems in there. It bites a little bit later on. It's so confidence inspiring riding this bike. Oh yeah, it has adjustable windscreen too. I'm not gonna take care of that. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm good right now. It doesn't give me any buffeting whatsoever. So I don't know what settings does this thing have right now. On the revs, you gotta have a very strong throttle, and it only works on higher gears. So the higher gears you have, the quick shifter works really well. But on the first 2 or 3 gears, it gets a little bit herky-jerky. Man, so many accessories in here. As if this is the BMW flagship off-roader. Pretty expected to that. If I compare this to the Africa Twin, the Super Tenere, the Super Adventure KTM, you can say the Multistrada too. I believe this has the best balance of performance. It's not too aggressive. It doesn't pretend to be aggressive. It's a utilitarian. It's basically a KLR that you upgraded already. If you want to upgrade from a KLR, this is the bike that you can globetrot in. Remember, all 1200 GS is ready to explore worldwide. It's a worldwide bike. If you want to be like Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide, in a badass manner, this is the bike you use. Everyone uses this bike. No matter which part of the world, BMW will take care of you. It leans very decently. Of course, it's no sport bike. For a tall bike, it's balanced. On certain revs, a little vibration that emits to the handlebars, but it's not annoying like most Ducatis though. That the rear brakes are very, very mushy, spongy at best. Other than that, I'm having a very relaxed ride. If I just want to be in a community, here, I'm gonna say it. If I want to be in a community right now, in a big, huge motorcycle community, there's a lot of them that you can choose. Some crotch rockets, Harleys, and these guys. I'd rather be with these guys, the GS guys. Whoa! Look at that! Leaning like nothing. Sure, it's not as responsive as the naked bikes, but for what it does pretty good job. Let me try to lower gear this time. I want to try its Boxer Fury. Visibility, of course, adventure touring standard. You see everything. You see the moon from here. If you have an exhaust on this will sound like magnifique. For a twin Boxer engine. The twin Boxer engine in a BMW is a staple of the brand. Same case with the Subaru with their Boxer or Harleys with their V-twins. This is their staple engine, and this is one of the few bikes that has a shaft drive, less maintenance, but more drivetrain loss per se. It has some bigger off-road pegs that you can comfortably stand on it. Let me go to dynamic mode. I was doing road earlier. It's so easy to ride. For a gargantuan bike as this is, it's just so seamless to ride. And right now it's not as hot as yesterday here in Salt Lake City. So it's beautiful right now. Yep, downshifting here is so smooth. It's not like the upshift nature of this bike. Some people, you might be concerned how big this bike really is. It won't really bother you. The Boxer engine is not as wide as the handlebar, so you can still lane split in California or somewhere in the world. And of course, the handlebars is wider than your shoulders. That's what I pointed out on the R9T Pure. See, the hill holder clutch also works downhill too, so you don't have to hold the clutch, the brake anymore. Just I have to get used to accelerating without jerky thing. I stalled there. My revs are too low. One was too much throttle, one's too low. I think if you own this bike, you will eventually learn it. But since I'm just doing a taste test, I won't have that much time for me to master it. That's what I said on the R9T Pure. The Boxer engine is not wider than your shoulders, so you don't have to worry about if you're a little bit intimidated by the Boxer engine width on this bike. It soaks up bumps really well, even on dynamic mode. The throttle is BMW smooth. No complaints on that. Oh wow, he went to neutral. Okay, I waited almost all day to ride this bike. But I hope they hook me up with a second ride. But oh well. If I want a full globe-trotting van bike, this is it. This is it. If I just want to go anywhere in the world, anywhere in the world, this is the bike I'll get. Nothing, no ifs, buts, or any excuses. This is the bike I will get if I want to travel the world. For some reason, it's easier to put it to neutral on a roll, but it's okay. That's BMW for you. Wow, I'm having some sniffles. The bad parts on this bike, of course, it's gonna be expensive. Number one. Number two, it has microscopic gauges. That for me, at the first glance, it's hard for me to read. It can easily distract you from the traffic ahead of you. And to me, that's not convenient. The only thing I want to look down, besides the speed, is my tach. I want my tach to be bigger. I want this to be flipped, and that speedo goes to the digital part. That's why I like the S1000 series, because I love their tachometers. It really matches the character of those bikes. Doesn't matter if it's an R, XR. That's what I love about those bikes. No nonsense visibility. Yeah, it's very jerky in second gear. Other than that, nah. Oh, there you go. I made a mistake. It still has 5 modes. Road is normal, commuter, and then there's Dynamic Pro if you want to go S1000 XR style. And if you want to go off-road, there's Enduro Pro. As a newbie rider like me, I can vouch for this bike. If you can afford this bike, go for it. And see, it sucks up bumps like nothing. You just have to get a very good tire to go through the muddy stuff. I saw some YouTube videos. Some guys in a GS, they can't even tackle a slight incline simply because they have either bolt tires or street tires. You gotta be ready on which terrain that you're planning to go, and use the tires that is right for the duty that you're about to face. Very nice. Put an exhaust in this and it's gonna be fine. Very nice. You don't hear that much. My ears are plugged at the moment. You barely hear the engine once you're cruising along like this. And of course it's not its purpose to go shout around and say, look at me, I drive a big tall off-road machine. Of course not. But you know, some people, they like sound. They want, I think they're gonna go out of the... Oh, not really. I'm using a soft shoe, as you can see. And unlike the S1000 XR that I ridden a while back, or XR or R, the clutch, the gear selector isn't as bad. It's not as stiff. It's still soft to the touch. It's still soft. It doesn't bother your toes as much compared to the S1000R. It's not as stiff. Maybe it's the calibration, whatever, the springs or the engagement of the gears or whatever. So many variations, but this is a much. Even if you wear flip-flops, I don't recommend it. Oh no, actually, yeah, whatever. I don't. Even with flip-flops, you can shift this bike, no problem. Parking lot speed, it's very, very, very maneuverable. It takes practice, of course, to do the MSF routine, but other than that, oh my gosh, it's easy to stand. I'm just gonna stand a bit. Not like cruisers, not like some nakeds. This is a bike that you can stand on and go off-road to the wilderness, far and beyond, to the unknown, and get eaten by bears. Alrighty. Routine. Of course, go to neutral. Pop. Shut it off. And it has a keyless entry, which is convenient. Put it in your pocket, shove it in there, and that's it. And double check. Oh, it goes back up. You have to hold it. And there you go. This one has a center stand. The kickstand is a little bit hard to find, but you'll get used to it eventually. As with all tall motorcycles, you get down from your pegs. See? And here you go. The R1200 Rallye, very nice bike. I think I can live with this bike, but it's, of course, it's BMW, so hefty price tag there. It's still handsome for in its own right. It's no S1000RR. I just freaking like this bike. 2 thumbs up for me as a beginner guy. Alrighty, see you guys later.